Hey everyone, you are tuning into the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for The Voice. Tonight we are going to be talking about the live playoffs, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for The Voice. As you can see, we have all ladies here tonight. I'm your host. As always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dani Golub. And ladies, where can they find you?
Hi guys, I am Brooke Lacey, and you can find me on all social media at Brooke Lacey H.
Hey guys, Allie Bailey here. You can find me Allie Bailey _1 on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm just gonna dance to that a little bit. Okay.
This is like the bad mom.
Yeah, this is a really good song to dance to. Okay, so we have 24 acts to get through. The way that they did the show, the format for the first round of live playoffs was Blake and Alicia's teams went yesterday, and then tonight was Gwen and Adam, and it was kind of like the chopping block. They cut all the teams in half. We're down to the top 12 now, which was very quick from 24. How did you guys feel about that? Was that like overwhelming? I feel like this was a heavy week.
Definitely a lot. And we had the 4 comeback artists too.
Right.
Yes. So it added another 4 performances.
Yeah, so we on the first night we had Felicia Temple and Jack Cassadee, and then last night we had, or tonight we had your friend Johnny Gates, who actually sent us a little video.
Oh, Johnny's gone.
But he did so well.
Okay, but
He
Johnny
really did.
sent me this today
Before
he went on for his live, and I am still Team Johnny.
Yeah, we're a bit
so
shook over this.
I'm a little
know.
heartbroken. I'm very heartbroken. But we need to have Johnny back on.
We should.
And get him to perform out in LA.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's
okay,
have
check
a
it out.
look.
Hey guys, Johnny here from season 12, and just wanted to let you guys know that I'm back. You can vote for me tonight, 8 o'clock East Coast, 5 p.m. West Coast. Yeah, AFTERBUZZ, you guys are awesome. So let's do another interview later.
See, he said, let's do another interview.
Let's do it.
And you said you saw him.
I saw him a couple this past weekend, and he was like, "I totally want to come on again."
Oh,
so
great.
We'd love to have him.
You know, we could even have him on for like a concert series or something. We have the musicians on for that, so that would be neat.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then the last comeback artist was Johnny Hayes on Team Adam. So those were our 4 comebacks. I actually don't think any of the comeback artists made it through. Which, I mean, I'm not super surprised because I think that, like, America obviously had an affinity towards some of these other people already, but it was great that they could get more exposure, have the live show experience. I think it was fun for them to still be able to come back.
Well, I think it was hard because this whole time they had to stay silent on social media about still being in the show, so they probably, didn't get as many fans as, like Aaliyah and Quiz, who were here last week, who were able to build up a really big following.
Yeah.
Right, so this week gave them the opportunity to do that a little more, I suppose. I mean, it's like we always say here, the more people just kind of like seeing your face and hearing your name, like this is the biggest platform for them. So I think it was probably still a win.
So we have the live chat up, and Betsy has been with us even before we started the show.
Yeah, thank you, Betsy.
We love you, Betsy. So she says, who was the biggest Sting elimination of the playoffs for you guys? Do you have one? I mean,
yes.
obviously we know who mine is.
Let me look back here.
I would say that my big sting is Jay Chosen.
I was gonna say I do.
Is that, I mean, for purposes of being different, I suppose I could say Johnny.
Yeah.
I just think that like Team Gwen really shocked me. We were shocked that she chose Troy. I mean, we could really quickly just kind of go through the 12 remaining artists and kind of just list them. So
absolutely.
So on Team Gwen we have Hunter, Brenly, and Troy. On Adam we have Jesse, aka Beardy.
Beardy McGee.
Lily and Mark Isaiah. And then on Blake, we have Warren Deskey, Aaliyah, Molden, who was here last week with us. Shout out to you. We'll talk about your performance for sure. And T-Soul. And then on Alicia, we have Stephanie Rice, Vanessa Ferguson, and Chris Blue. So, yeah, we had some pretty shocking ones go home. I mean, I love people tuning in and, chatting with us. Do you guys have anyone else? You think?
As far so it was hard for me because obviously I love Mark Isaiah, so I'm happy that he's through, but I really was rooting Johnny. Jay Chosen have been on my team. I'm also very upset about the Voice app because today when I went to add Johnny to my team, because obviously when he was eliminated they take him off, and then when I went to get on, it's like you can't change. Your team is locked out.
Oh,
They
I
do.
thought Chris said that you could
horrible.
change it.
I'm very upset about this.
I think the teams are locked, and I think that the comeback artists, like, they don't do that every year. That was kind of a newer thing, so I'm not sure if that was fully incorporated into, like, the usability of the app. You know? But, yeah, there was definitely some bummers tonight. Betsy, if you're still with us, let us know who you were sad about.
Yeah, Betsy, here, I'm
I was
message
really
Betsy back.
Shout out,
do it.
Thank you everyone who tunes in and watches with us.
Yeah, you
It's
said we
awesome.
have
Oh yeah, we do. We have a viewer from Australia. Thanks to Marlon Cohen for tuning in.
Yeah.
From around the world.
I know, right? Like, what time is it in Australia right now?
Who knows? But we're happy to have you.
Exactly.
Anyway, so let's talk about some of the standouts from tonight, and last night, I suppose. We can kind of just kind of mush them all together. I think let's start by just kind of going through the top 12 performances, the ones that have made it through. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. I think that we can start off by talking about Team Gwen, because she was up tonight. We had Hunter and Brenly and Troy. So Hunter sang Elastic Heart. I think that he is like he has a lot of like money making potential for this show. You know, like he kind of seems like he's the kind of guy that's going to go far and going to be able to create music that people really like.
Yeah.
We're hearing a little bit of it now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I wrote about him, I loved they had him sitting on those stairs. It was a total performance.
It was intimate.
It was intimate. I even said I could totally see this on like an award show performance, like, you know, Grammys or iHeart Music Awards, like just something very. He's very comfortable interacting with the audience. So he's been not until these past couple of weeks have I really been like, oh, he's on the map for me.
I think last week he really stood out, or his knockout round he really stood out. But tonight, like, he was my favorite one. I really felt something from him, and I don't know. I felt like in my emotions when I was listening to him. I thought it was great.
Like I said in past episodes, covering someone like Sia is not an easy feat. Like he had to have made it his own to be able to cover it, and I always think it is a bit easier for a male voice to cover a very difficult female artist. So I think that was working in his favor, but still to cover Sia is like top notch.
Yeah.
I'm definitely buying this song on iTunes, by the way.
It was special. Yeah, this was a really, really nice performance. Up next for moving through on Team Gwen, is Brenly Brown. And she's only 15 years old. She's Gwen's only girl, and I think that her and Gwen are going to like form a really special bond throughout this show.
Absolutely. Being the only girl she has, and then also just the fact of that young, you know, Gwen started really young and she's young. I get a very much of like a Taylor Swift vibe, young Taylor Swift from her.
Yeah, even the way she dresses, like she had the like flower crown.
She was so cute, and she like really connected with the audience, I thought, with her performance. And I think The Voice has a very big, you know, country following, and I wasn't surprised that she was voted through. Yeah,
especially with being on Team Gwen rather than Team Blake. I think it's easier for her to stand out, not being a country artist. Right. We're hearing a little bit of now. I think this is Fly, right?
Fly, and I also love that she played the guitar.
Me too.
Yeah, it showed that she's like a diverse, kind of well-rounded musician, not just like a singer.
Yeah.
And at such a young age to have that ability is impressive, to say the least.
I like too how she started off playing the guitar, and then at the end she kind of put it on her back and took the mic and kind of took control. And she's only 15, and it was cool to see her, you know, feel confident. Yeah.
So, you know, we have her as a female country artist, and then also going through on Team
Lauren Dusky.
On Team Blake is Lauren Dusky. But I think out of the two, I definitely would pick Brenly over.
Would you? Interesting. I think I would pick Lauren over Brenly.
I don't know. Brenly's like the youthful, like, soft. Well, they're both soft. I don't know. Lauren definitely has a more experienced voice, but
yeah, I think that. I mean, they're both great, but different. You know?
I guess it's hard, you know. But if it does come down to, you know, one of like a certain type, I would just love to see where Brenly goes with her age, and if she's already got that powerhouse of a voice with the right coaching where she can go.
Well, after this week, it no longer really matters what team you're on, because this week is the last week where it was like done by coach. Starting next week, it's kind of just America votes, and there's a point where I remember last season where like one of the coaches had no one left, you know. I think that also happened with Pharrell when he was a coach. Was like it was the top 4 and Pharrell didn't have anybody in it, you know. Like that happens after this week. That's no longer like a coach's game, really.
And no more saves and stuff, which will be interesting.
Well, there's the Twitter save the following day, like on the live results show. The bottom 3, it's like a Twitter save, but not by any coaches.
Yeah.
So speaking of votes, Little John says, not sure if this is usual, but I like how they did the live rounds this week with the votes at the end of the show. So
some people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's cool because I know I'm always on like pins and needles. Who's gonna say who's gonna go? So that's cool.
It's immediate gratification. I think that like the way that our generation watches TV, it is a unique, different innovative way to do it, because we're gonna tune in tonight's episode, and if we tune in tomorrow just to see results, it's like people just look online and see who won.
Right, absolutely. Betsy said in reply that she thought Felicia Temple was the biggest Sting elimination.
Yeah.
Which
we can talk quickly about Felicia. She sang Defying Gravity last night, and that song is tough. That's Idina Menzel sings the original Broadway version of that. It is a spectacular song, probably one of my favorite, actually possibly my favorite Broadway song of all time. It's up there. And I would say that the beginning of her performance was a bit rocky for me, but towards the end she really fell into her groove. And she was a comeback artist too, which I was shocked actually that she left in the first place.
I totally agree with you. I think she ended so strong.
Yeah, let's maybe can we in this what we're hearing, can we skip to the end to hear her end bit so we can verify what Betsy's talking about, because it's, oh god, it brings me back to seeing Wicked. I've seen it like 8 times.
I wish I could sing like that.
Same.
and to be fair, like as far as song choice, she has consistently picked these really challenging and songs that are for any category. Like as a singer, you're like, oh, just don't touch that song. Like whether it's singing somebody like Aretha or Dina or like you know, there's these artists where you just kind of let them have that song because you know it's hard to even shine a candle to it. So I think
she also has a really powerful story. She was like a cancer survivor. She also just got engaged, so shout out to Felicia. She flashed her ring on the show.
I know, I noticed it when she was holding the mic.
It was cute. I was like, she's like, this year just can't get any better. So I maybe we'll have her in sometime. I'd love to have her. She is so sweet and so talented. This is like far from the end of a career for someone like that. I think that we always have to remember with The Voice that this is like a launch pad for these people. It's giving them so much exposure that they never would have gotten, showing them to millions of people. So now she has fans in Betsy and in me, and we're all going to be Felicia fans.
Probably in Australia.
Yeah, maybe fans in Australia. Who knows? So the final contestant left on Gwen's team is Troy, which we were all a little shocked by just because we loved Johnny and Jay Chosen's performances. What do we think of Troy? You guys both just
go ahead.
At the same time.
Troy for me has been somebody that I think he's talented, don't get me wrong, like obviously they can all sing, but I just feel like he's been somebody from the beginning that I'm like, how is he still here? I kind of just think he's kind of boring. Like I'm never really engaged, and I know it's totally opinion based, so obviously there's people that absolutely love him. He must be doing something right, but for me,
maybe you're just not connecting.
Understand how he's still here, and somebody like Jay Chosen or Johnny went, you know, but
well, I was surprised because I think Adam and Gwen kind of gave their little review of him after, and they both were talking about things that they would have liked to see or something that was not exactly perfect. And a lot of these performances, the coaches are raving about how great it was and how amazing they are, and they're so special and magical and stuff. And so I think that's why I was a little bit surprised, because they were like, it was good, but it wasn't like his best.
I also thought, when he, well, it might be coming up, when he says on the lyric of Wine, I feel like it's supposed, I couldn't figure out if he was trying to do a run and it was just like not being executed correctly, or if it was just a little pitchy. I don't know. For me, it wasn't. So it wasn't spot on enough to justify him still being here.
Yeah, you know, what I find interesting about it is that Alicia said that she would have chosen him to stay. As like when Carson kind of presented the idea of who would your few be, she chose him. So part of me thinks like sometimes maybe it's not really translating for the TV. Like maybe they're hearing something that we can't really hear.
So
like maybe he's a really good
lives.
We'll come.
Or maybe when they're practicing and stuff, they see something
they
more.
hear potential. I think that like even with Adam choosing Mark Isaiah, he even said to America, like, give me more time with him, give us more time with him.
And thank God he did.
We got more time with him. But again, like, maybe that Adam like hears something as a musician and as like a very successful person in this industry. Like he probably hears something that we don't hear. But speaking of Adam's team, let's go ahead and talk about them. First to make it through was Jessie Larson, who is very talented. There's always someone like Jessie on this show. Like we had Sundance win last year. Like I think that there's gonna be Jessies every season of The Voice, and they're always gonna do well because they cater to a very specific audience.
Yeah, that kind of underdog.
Yeah.
Not even underdog. That's
a little bit older, kind of in the next chapter of life.
I mean, I love this song. This is a jam.
Yeah, you guys can definitely hear it.
And what I liked about his performance was you could the band was great, but you could really also just hear his voice, and you weren't too distracted by the music. And I don't know, there were some performances that I thought were a little bit distracting with the background music. I don't know, did you guys think that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
It was great, but now that I'm listening to it back, do you think it's a little like wedding singer-esque? Like I feel like with Jesse, he's great, but is he gonna like? Not that it's about that. It is about the voice. I get it, but don't you think that? Like I don't know that I see him topping iTunes and performing. Like I feel like I could see him catering to a certain audience, weddings, like
I
dad
see what you mean.
dances.
Yeah.
Love him. He's talented. Don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily see him as being a top contender.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. I mean, I think he'll go on for another week. We'll see how he does, and we'll see if America will vote for him in the next round of lives in the top 12. I think it's going to start to get really cutthroat,
Okay, I have a question that I just thought of. Do you guys think that fans change their mind based on performance, or that they stick with the same people?
I think that fans, at least I can speak on my own experience. When I start to like someone from like the blinds, I'm pretty loyal to them throughout. Like there was a few, I mean, one of my all-time voice favorites is Darby Ann Walker from last season. We actually had her in, and she's a doll in person, but also a very talented singer. And there were a couple of, her blind was like my favorite one, and then she had a couple performances. She did a battle with Carly Metzger, and like there was a couple that just really stuck with me, and that I really connected with her as an artist. And you just kind of grow a loyalty just like you do with any sort of singer. Like I have like a really deep connection with Coldplay, and like if Coldplay, when they did the Super Bowl and everyone was like, oh, it's kind of average, I was like, I loved it because I love Coldplay, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. So maybe we have our favorites, and so when we see them perform, we're like, oh, that was amazing.
No, I'm just thinking like with the comeback artist or the ones that got saved tonight, it'll be interesting to see if they advance past the top 12, because they were just saved by the
vote for them. That's actually what Darby ran into, because Gwen, no, sorry, it was Miley. It was Miley. Miley and Darby had like a really special bond, and Miley kind of kept Darby along for the whole ride, and then as soon as it became like America's vote, Darby was actually sent home. So yeah, I could see what you mean. I think that will be a bit of a challenge for some of them. I don't think it will be for someone like Mark Isaiah, just because of his cute looks.
I know, but he got saved tonight.
He did.
So it'll be, I don't know.
It will be interesting, but I think that Adam sees that he has work to do. And it'll be interesting to see if he can work with him. He's saying all-time low tonight. What did you think?
I think that is not a song that I would have ever picked to perform. I think that is definitely a radio edited pop song. And so it was really cool. I think he executed it great. I think he's just adorable. I mean, I know he's like 5, but he's not 5. But I mean, how old he's?
I think he's 19.
19,
he's young. I mean, he's young. There's always a few young male artists, like Zach Sebo from a couple of seasons ago did really well. Like, because as much as it is about the voice, it is about the full package.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think he has, that's what I respect, is he has the voice.
Yes,
so if you just take it for the voice, he's got it.
I thought he is a great performer too, and he totally worked the stage, and he was wearing his cute outfit, and he knew what he was doing up there.
You could tell he was loving doing the fan fives, and very much I can see like that Justin Bieber vibe coming through.
Yeah, like, and he was working it, and like I think he still plays it off in a way that's like almost still lovable, Adam was like, don't let any of this get to your head, which I think was almost a really good mentor for him, because Adam does have that like hot guy look going for him, girls love him, but he still is so focused on the art,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then lastly for Team Adam was Lily, and she looked absolutely gorgeous tonight.
Pretty.
I mean, really so pretty. She looked like a star. She's a waitress. Carson was saying, like around the corner.
I've been to that restaurant before.
Yeah, that's so
it's
funny.
in Studio City. It's called the 6.
Oh, so funny.
Well, ladies,
let's go check her out.
We'll take ladies' night and go to the 6 after.
We'll move over and go hang with Lily. What'd y'all think?
I thought it was a great performance and one of her better ones, but I was a little bit surprised that America voted for her.
I was as well. I thought it was really good. I think she is very deserving to be in the top 12, but I just she wasn't a standout for me.
That's it. Yeah, she's great. But I just thought it was a little more at this point in the competition, and she's not the only one tonight. There's been several where I'm like, come on, like now is not the time to just be comfortable. I was waiting for more. I don't know that I thought this was the best song choice. It was a little boring. She looks stunning, classic beauty, but I don't know. She's not in my top 5. But
I feel like since we watched 24 artists perform, there was ones that more clearly stood out to move on, and ones that didn't. But you know, there were still ones that we thought, like Jay Chosen, that didn't move on, which I'm still upset about.
Yeah.
We'll have Jay next week here in the studio, so we'll get to chat with him about all of his music, and hopefully he'll have some news for us about like upcoming projects and stuff.
Which I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will at this point, because now he's off the show. He'll have some clarity and like a week to think about what's next. So,
absolutely.
And then so next up is Team Blake. First to move through on his team was Lauren Dusky. And she is, you know, the daughter of the dentist with those perfect pearly whites. She's a country artist, and she is really, really talented. I actually loved her performance. She sang, what was the song she sang? I have it written down. Sorry, Someone Else's Star. I think that she's really good. We were comparing her a bit to Brenly earlier, which is an easy thing to do, you know, to compare the two female country artists on the show. But, you know, I think as a standalone, she's great, and I think she's perfect for Team Blake to be moving through. And yeah, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I liked in the beginning of her package they showed that she's close with Danielle from the winner from Blake's previous past seasons. An interesting tidbit, she actually is from my hometown, Danielle.
Oh, really?
So, you know, I'm always a little leery because I feel like there's been so many female country artists from Team Blake that have all this hype during the show, but then they just kind of fall off.
What's interesting is she's the only country artist really left on Team Blake.
True, yeah.
Which is shocking because we have Aaliyah and T-Soul.
Yeah.
Which Aaliyah sang country last week, and I think that she's versatile and can do anything.
Yes.
But like Lauren is Blake's only like country girl at heart, which I think will take her far just because people will look for that.
Yeah,
on Team Blake.
And he'll invest a lot in her because you know it's country. And I remember when Johnny was here too, he said that he thinks that Lauren could win the whole thing.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool because I mean he obviously gets to hear her sing a lot more than we do.
Yeah,
and so
inside scoop.
I think that she'll definitely keep going far.
Yeah.
And then up next for Team Blake was Aaliyah Molden, who we had in the studio last week, and she is just such a doll, such a sweetie.
Cute.
And she sang Mercy, and I think this was one of my favorite performances of the playoffs so far. What do you guys think?
Yeah, she was amazing. I don't know how I felt about that awkward bit at the beginning where she's like, take it to the verse, like, to me,
I know.
I mean, but I would sound awkward saying that too. Like,
take a beat in, take it to the verse,
like, I think only Duffy can make that sound cool.
Yeah.
But, no, she's adorable. She's so talented, humble, and I think I get very much, I know you mentioned this last week, like, she reminds me of that Zendaya mold of, like, the sweet Disney
looks like
Channel.
her, yeah.
Looks like her, but also that kind of same path, and it works. Like, her, Demi Lovato, Miley, you know,
Yeah,
I
even
mean,
Selena
clearly,
Gomez,
yeah,
yeah.
Selena. So I think she knows what market she's playing, you know?
Yeah, and it's impressive to see such a young woman be able to like have that ownership, and it's you know, something that other young girls watching the show can like aspire to be. Like she like doesn't dress in any sort of provocative way. She's like very much herself and owns it and is comfortable doing what she's comfortable doing, which I love.
And I thought this was a great song choice for her too, and I think it showed like her wide range.
Yeah, it shows off her
Is that
vocals.
the term, the wide range of voice?
Yeah, you got it. Interesting from what we were just talking about as far as country and things. That dog is so 100 says, I think pop, if you sing it on the show, never wins. It's a country show.
Interesting. I mean, that is a valid point. There's always country artists in the finals. You know, we had like Emily Ann Roberts. We had Sundance Win. We like, you know, there's a lot of country artists that go far in the show because I don't know where you're tuning in from, but like a lot of people that do watch the show, The Voice, are in Middle America. You know, and that's a lot of those people like love country music, and people here love country music. We have Stagecoach like next weekend, you know, and that's like a huge country music festival. So, country music is America. So next up,
What was it earlier you were saying? You might not want me to say this.
I don't know. I just blab random things when we're watching the show. What was it?
People went home that we weren't happy about.
Oh yeah.
and
I
you
go.
were
What did I say? I said something along the lines of, we can't trust America for voting for anything because they just messed up our voice votes. They already messed up the presidential election. Like, I can't win over here.
The people would get a kick out of listening to us watch the
Yeah,
shows.
we should almost have a live Facebook Live one time of us watching because like my reactions, all of us when Jay Chosen went home were like,
we're all making bets and our predictions.
Yeah, like I wrote giant like a giant note on my pad.
Sad
No, with the grumpy face in the O about
funny.
Team Gwen, but you know.
And then the last on Team Blake was T Soul, who was dressed in an amazing purple suit. I said it gave me Prince vibes.
Yes.
What did y'all think of him? He sang "Knock on Wood."
I think that he's great. I love him as a person, but I think that he's also a great performer too. And he does that little move. I don't even know what it is, but on the stage, and he's
a stage presence.
Yes, yeah.
So, my thing with T-Soul, I am not surprised to see him in the finals because when he came in from the start, he talked about how he has this, you know, he's been performing around the country. He performs in New York at the, let's lose my mind, the famous, in Harlem.
Studio 33?
No, dang it.
Oh, what's it called?
Where they rub the rock when they come out.
Oh gosh, I forgot.
Anyway, that one, it'll come to me. But, so he's got a huge following. He's obviously got a really successful career. So, in a show that votes count, I think, you know,
serve him well.
That serves him well. I think he's super talented. He's seems to be very consistent in his performances. But I don't know. I think he's kind of lost steam. I loved him in the beginning, and I was like, oh, definitely him. But for me, he's kind of lost some steam going through, just because I don't feel like he's grown hugely.
I mean, going forward from this point, like, you really got to stand out to make it through.
Yeah, so for me, he was one of my ones to watch at the beginning, but now I'm just like, oh yeah, I like him. You know.
I think starting next week, we're only going to lose one at a time, though.
Okay.
So I do see him going farther than just, like, you know, the next week or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a lot of, like, God-given talent. You know, there are those people that you hear that you're like, wow, they must work really hard, whereas I feel like he was given a gift and he's using it, you know?
Like, I would be thoroughly upset if, like, somebody like, I don't know, Troy or Lily stayed on longer than
rather than him. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he just is gifted, this guy. He's like a prodigy.
I really like him too. This is maybe kind of music related, but I think he's really humble, and he's not, he just does his thing, and I don't know, I respect
Professional,
that.
you know? Comes in to do the job he needs to do, and
Yeah.
he's not like, you know, a teenager on this show. Like, he comes in and he's like, you know, he's very mature and he does his work. And then lastly, we have Team Alicia.
It was the Apollo. Thank you. That's what
The Apollo. Oh, there we go. Now we're back. We had Stephanie Rice go through.
Yes.
She is great. Like an absolute, you know, I feel like she's such a gem. I wish we could have her in as well. What did you guys think of her performance? That was last night.
Last night. I really like her. I think Alicia has a solid team.
Alicia does. Alicia might win this year.
Yeah. Whereas I kind of don't think that, I know Blake is notorious for, you know, all his wins, but I think Alicia might sneak up team-wise. I really like her. I think she's really unique. I think she could go in a myriad of different ways. Like, I think she could do like an indie album.
Yeah, she's not like a genre box kind of girl,
Right.
which is what they want on this show, honestly.
Yeah, and I love her story. I think she's from Austin.
She's from somewhere in Texas.
She's from somewhere in Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like this. Like, it was a very honest performance, and I think that's what's great about her is whenever she performs, you can connect with her.
Yeah, and it's very emotional too. And I was really surprised that she was the one that was saved on her team and wasn't voted by America. I think that she does have an awesome story, and I thought this performance was really, really good, and she was calm.
She was also on the piano, which
yes,
Yeah.
I always love when they're able to whip out an instrument and have it not overshadow the
Right.
voice.
No,
you know?
exactly. Because even if you close your eyes and you don't know that she's playing the piano, you wouldn't know that she is because it's not taking away
From her
and you
singing.
can really feel what she's feeling in her song. Like, you feel the pain that she's going through.
And then next up on Team Alicia was Vanessa Ferguson, which is kind of a tongue twister. Sorry about Vanessa Ferguson. She was also great. Alicia, you know, has some strong ladies on her team, which is fitting. I know. I mean, I'm not surprised, but she was saved by America, which I think, you know, was well deserving. And I think we'll hear probably a bit of her in a second. But what do you guys think?
I really liked Vanessa. I was telling Brooke earlier, I wasn't a huge fan of her in previous weeks or previous rounds.
So this kind of goes against your, like, idea of, you know, maybe only sticking to your few.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed her performance. I thought it was cool that she put her own twist on this song, and it was still had the integrity of I think it was called Lean On, but had her own vibe on it, and I thought it was really, really good, and she rocked it. And you're really able to like hear how great her voice is.
This is what a lot of YouTube stars do to get really famous, is they take like a big pop song and make it their own. And so I think that it was a smart choice. Like I think that maybe Mark Isaiah tried to do this, and I think that she was a little bit more successful with taking that like radio hit and twisting it to make it her own. I think it may have been because she made it more of her own, rather, where he kind of just sang it the way it was performed on the radio. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think, look at her go. I really,
it's a good time.
I think she's great. I think she is a solid artist, performer as well. But I agree with you as far as, this is a hard song to perform. Like, it's definitely a song that I
like,
feel
how do you compare this with like Aaliyah singing Mercy? Like, it's a different, like, totally different comparison. Like, how do you compare those two kind of vocals? Like, that's like apples and oranges. It really is.
It's so hard. But and she did her Blind. What was the song that she?
Oh gosh, I forgot.
And so, you know, I think
she did a popular pop song.
Like a radio edit. And so for me, the thing with her, like, every week is something cool and innovative, and even though she knows and we know that she's really talented, she hasn't, like, she's been a standout, I think.
Yeah.
She hasn't just kind of been, like, gotten too comfortable, which is, I think some of them have.
Yeah, and she's rocking a red suit. I love myself a lady in a red suit.
Yeah, she reminds me, I've probably said this before, but she reminds me of Janelle Monáe.
Oh, yes,
just that kind of, like,
I agree with you.
Style and energy.
Yeah, she was, and I think she's a great fit for Alicia. I think that they probably will complement each other nicely, and Alicia's able to, like, really support her, which is great.
Yeah.
Last on Team Alicia is Chris Blue, which there have been some buzz about him maybe winning the whole thing. He sang Love on the Brain, and this was spectacular. Like, up there in my favorites so far. Him and, like, Aaliyah, I would say, are up there for me. But he made this his own, but also still, like, gave Rihanna, you know, the honor that she deserved with this song. Up there in favorites of the night.
He gets his voice so high. I'm like, how?
His range.
Like,
his
how?
range is insane.
It's insane.
It's so...
And the control.
Yes.
And just knowing, like, because I don't even want to talk it, but because I feel like somebody with his level of talent, it would be easy to, like, just, who was the girl that got eliminated tonight that,
which one?
The one that I felt like always just kind of showed off and didn't necessarily.
Oh yes, she's very like a theater. She's a young girl.
Yeah,
I forgot her name. I'm sorry.
But I think that's what is what I love about him, is because he clearly has the talent and he has all the tricks up his sleeve, but he doesn't, like, shove them in your face the whole time. He has levels, and I love when he does this.
I think he's Final Four bound.
Whatever
to be
it was.
Yeah, you think he's Final Four bound?
For it. Yeah, absolutely.
While we're talking about that, let's kind of chat about who we see going. We can keep him on, because I'm not gonna turn off this work of art. But, like, let's talk about who we kind of see going. Maybe let's aim, like, Final Four, Final Five. Like, who do we think is really going far?
I have my top three.
Okay.
Let's hear them. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Do you have your top?
Actually,
three?
I
do some predictions.
Okay,
if you will.
so I'll maybe, because I have my one from each team. That was it. That's what I was waiting for. Okay, now I can talk. So from Team Gwen, I would definitely say Hunter. You know, Brenly is obviously talented, but I really think Hunter is original. Team Adam, Mark Isaiah, and Team Blake, Aaliyah Molden. T-Soul and Lauren are both great, so I wouldn't be surprised if either of them advance as well. I'm just giving my personal faves. And Alicia, it's so tough because I love all three of them. So, but if I had to pick, I'd probably say Chris Blue.
I mean, how could you not when you're listening to this? Yeah, I think that those are some pretty solid, obvious choices. What about you, Allie?
I totally agree. Chris Blue is definitely in my top. I think Lauren Dusky is in my top too. She's just had consistent performances every week, and Johnny was a huge fan, so that means I'm a huge fan too. Definitely love Hunter. Like I mentioned earlier, last week, or his last performance, we were all really impressed, and then tonight he's my favorite. And then I love Mark, and I think he's so cute and great, but I don't know how far he's gonna go.
I think that Mark may be one that's gonna surprise us. I hope
he does.
I think that Adam is gonna take this next week with him very seriously and like really try to polish him. And I think that his song choice next week is going to be very important because I think this week's was a little bit average. Next week's is going to be better because I think Adam is going to kind of pay more attention to it. I think Adam may have almost neglected him a little bit this week because he's like, oh, he's this cute guy, he's not going anywhere. But like I think he realized this guy needs like my focus and my attention, and they're going to pick something really good for him.
Which I hope he does because like he obviously has so much potential and already is doing so well, but
Lil Jon says, gotta say, Allie, we miss you over here in Houston. Dash on.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm from
Thanks
Houston
for tuning
too,
in.
but you clearly have a soccer fan.
Glory days.
Yeah, so I think that my favorites, just for purposes of being like a little bit different, I think that Jesse is gonna go far because I think that he is similar to other people who have made it very far in this competition. Like specifically Sundance, I think that they have like a similar vibe, and Sundance won the whole thing. So Jesse Larson, I see him going far. Again, Chris Blue, Aaliyah. I would say maybe Jesse, kind of Mark, Aaliyah, and Chris are probably my top 4. And if I had to pick one from Gwen's team, I personally would pick Hunter. I just think that he had like the most special performance of this week. I connected with him most like on a musical level. Elastic Heart's like one of my favorite songs, and so I thought that was a really strong performance. But
who do you guys think will go home next?
So what does it go down to 10?
Well, no, I think it actually goes to 11.
11?
Yeah,
okay.
If I had to guess, I would say Lily, Troy. Maybe Lily or Troy, maybe Brenly. It depends. It honestly, I think with someone like Brenly, it honestly is gonna depend on how well Lauren does and how well she does, because they're gonna split the vote. You know, you run into that with like any sort of like election or voting of any kind. If you're very similar to someone else, you may not like. I think that if we're going to talk about the young women left in the competition, we have like Aaliyah and Brenly and Lauren. Like Aaliyah will get a different vote than Brenly and Lauren will. So they're going to split whatever is coming in for that young female country artist. And so one of them is going to do better than the other, and that's who's probably going to end up going farther.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of competing with each other.
I definitely think that the person that will go home, it's all performance based, but I do think a little bit will have, like, the 4 who were saved by their coaches, I think they're
going to be up for grabs a little more.
I think so, yeah. Because America, not that they weren't in them, but weren't into them as much as they were with other people. And
you know what happens sometimes is, like, we have the Twitter save, I believe, starting next week, which is, like, on Tuesday during the live shows. There's, like, the bottom 3, you have to Twitter save one of them. And we run into, like, last season we ran into, like, the same person was in the bottom Twitter 3, like,
Aaron.
3 times. Yeah.
I loved him.
Yeah, Aaron Gibson.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the bottom 3, like, 3 times in a row and kept getting saved. So, like, I don't know if America just is, like, sort of throwing him a bone or, like, I don't know, really making him sit on the edge.
Yeah, I think next week, because I think I wouldn't be surprised if Troy went next week, just because he was saved, and so clearly he didn't have that huge vote push. And for me, I don't know, he just hasn't been, like, one of my
we weren't
favorites.
as impressed with his performance.
No
tonight.
offense, like, he is very talented. He's a sweet guy. Like, you go, Troy. You do your thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's
just prediction wise.
The reality is like out of these 12, they're all like extremely gifted musicians.
You can't say a bad thing about any.
No, they're all really talented and all very much deserve to be there. Like, even if someone else, like, even if we want Jay Chosen or Johnny to be there, like, I don't necessarily think they deserve the spot of anyone who's there, because everyone is good at this point. You're competing with the best of the best, so. Yeah,
I'm definitely a lot more impressed with this season's talent than last season. I feel like last season you kind of knew from the beginning who was going to make it far, and I think even tonight for lives we were like surprised with who was moving on.
Yeah, and I think it's always nice to have a season where you don't necessarily have a clear winner. I've found watching in the past that, like, watching Jordan Smith's season and watching Allison Porter's season, I love them, and I think that they are very well deserving winners, but it almost didn't even feel fair to watch everyone else perform because they were set up to win, 1, and 2, it was so obvious. The coaches even made it obvious that was who was going to win. Like, they basically said, America, here, vote for this person. So
it makes for good TV now.
Yeah, this season's making for nice television, and it's also, like, I feel like a bit of a more fair playing ground, you know. But I think that's all we have for this week. So thank you, everyone from the live chat and everyone for tuning in.
Shout out to Mr. Honest. I do see you on here. I know we didn't get to cover everything.
Well, we'll be back next week. No worries. Where can they find you if they want to continue this conversation that they're having on Twitter and Instagram?
Guys, hey, Allie Bailey here. You can find me Allie Bailey _1 on social media.
Absolutely, and I am Brooke Lacey. You can find me on all social media at Brooke Lacey H.
And as always, I'm Dani Golub. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dani Golub. It's been fun. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.